very, very nicely that overheads refer to our expenses. Yeah, great. They're expenses. Remember, we've got various types of expenses. We could have, in this case here, expenses related to the materials we acquire, expenses related to the labor, and then we have expenses related to overheads on top of everything. Overheads covers everything. So you're told here that these are our expenses that a business incurs to operate, yeah, but which cannot be directly traced to a specific product, service, or activity. So all those expenses that you incur, which are indirect, they cannot be traced to any specific product or service within our firm. They're incurred for the benefit of many units at a time. A very good example, ladies and gentlemen, would be rent. When rent is paid, assuming all of us here, we were in a classroom, for example, a physical classroom, and the RCM in this case is paying rent of, say, 20,000. So this rent of 20,000, we can't say that this is the money that Adam has given us, which will go towards paying this rent. So once rent is paid, it covers all of us. All of us are now able to enjoy the space. So it is an indirect expense simply because this rent cannot be attributable to a specific student, a specific unit, or a specific service. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I would want us to do today. A simple topic that we should be able to finish within very, very short time, and everybody will be very, very happy. Everybody shall be very happy at the end of the day. So this is a handout that I've been able to share with all of us. And then I would want us, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, to go straight away to this topic here. Yeah. It's topic number 4 still. So we've been able to do accounting for materials, accounting for labor. Now we need, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, to give you what we call accounting for overheads. Under overheads, we are looking at allocation and what here? Apportionment. Allocation and apportionment. This section covers allocation and apportionment of overheads with specific, worked examples, and you'll be able to like this. Yeah. The aim is to ensure that the production overhead costs are fairly distributed across departments using appropriate bases, such as cubic space, net book value of equipment, and the number of employees. So we have a very good example that I would want us to use, ladies and gentlemen. You can see like this is factory rent, factory heat. We have processing department, packaging, etc. And then they have given us departmental data for apportionment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, before I continue, I would want to make it very clear that these expenses we are calling overheads, they are common expenses, incurred for the benefit of what here? Many units. Incurred for the benefit of many departments. You know, when we pay, for example, rent for RCM College, yeah, within RCM College, we have the HR department. We have, in this case here, academics department. We have CPA department. You see, at the end of the day, all those departments here will be benefiting out of this common expenditure. And that is why at the end of the day, you as a management accountant will always sit down and do the apportionment of these overheads first. And normally what we do, we apportion the overheads to the departments. After apportioning them to the departments, we shall now be able to get them closer home by now doing what we call absorption. We absorb them to the individual units for purposes of pricing. You see, for us to be able to do any pricing, ladies and gentlemen, we must be having material cost, labor cost, and we must be having overheads. These overheads are common. They are total expenses. They'll be given to you in totality. So at the end of the day, they must be apportioned, and I'm reiterating by telling you that you shall first of all apportion them to the respective departments. So like in this question, ladies and gentlemen, that we have here this afternoon, they have given us the departments. You can see we have a processing department, we have packaging department, we have a canteen. So then the very first thing that we shall do here is to do an overhead analysis schedule. So you write there, overhead analysis schedule. Yeah, so we shall have the overhead items here. We shall have the overhead items there. Yeah, then we have the total amount. So this total amount is the one that now will be apportioned using appropriate criteria, will be apportioned to our three departments, will be apportioned to our three departments, will be apportioned to our three departments. Our three departments will be told here. We have what they are calling processing. So we have what they are calling processing. Yeah. Then we have in this case here packing. Yeah. Then we have in this case here canteen, like that. Yeah. So then we shall start, ladies and gentlemen, with the first item. The first item here, they are calling it factory rent. They are calling the first item factory rent. Now, factory rent, ladies and gentlemen, now, when you look at the basis given, you can see the basis given. Yeah, you can see processing is occupying quite a huge space. The processing department, 50,000. Then we have, in this case here, packing, 25. Then we have canteen, 5. Ah, great. So, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, please listen and listen to me very well. You see, your examiner will not give you the basis directly of apportionment. Your examiner can't give you the basis of apportionment. No. It will be upon you to know the basis. It will be upon you to know the basis. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, the bigger the space you occupy, then the more the rent you should absorb. The more the rent you should absorb. So for factory rent, we shall be using things like cubic space, floor area to do the apportionment. So in this case here, this time round factory rent, we are using this cubic space. The more the space you have, so cubic space. So this cubic space that we have here, they have already given us cubic space units. We know the cubic space units, ladies and gentlemen. We can see them here. It is 50 is to 25 is to 5. So we have here 50 to 25 to 5. That is the criteria for apportioning this cubic space. So 50 to 25 to 5. Ladies and gentlemen, remember the factory rent itself is 20,000. Yeah, factory rent totally is 20,000. So then can you kindly tell me how much will go to the processing department? So you see, when you add these ratios, this will be 30 plus 50. So it means that the first one, which is processing, will take 50 over 80. This will take 25 over 80. This will take 5 over 80, like that. So now you give us the answers. So you take, in this case here, proportionately, like processing has the bigger part of it. So it will be 20,000 times 50 over 80. Give me an answer, my good students. So in this case here, they're giving me processing takes 12,500. What are we doing here? We are doing apportionment. Why are we apportioning? Because the rent is a common expenditure. Yeah, so we must apportion fairly. So we go to the next department. Next department will be 25 over 80 times the total figure, 20,000. So I'm getting Olango Francis, 6250. 6250, like that. 6250, like that. All right. And then now the last one, which is canteen, takes 5 over 80 times 20,000. So this takes 1250. My good students have been in this industry for so long, and I can tell you, they shall never, at least for 80D students, ATD students, at least at times, they give you the basis. Yeah, because your management accounting is a bit, not that tough, but it's good for you to really attend all the CPA classes, right? So that you can become even tougher and get an award at the ATD level. For CPA, rest assured, the criteria shall never be given. Criteria shall never be given. Now, with your permission, I will be able to go to the next one. The next overhead item is known as factory heat. Factory heat. Factory heat. So this factory heat, yeah, they're giving us factory heat. Factory heat. So we write there factory heat. Factory heat. I can see the total figure is 5,000. And then now you look at the criteria given. The criteria given, ladies and gentlemen, there are three here. The basis. So do we use cubic space to apportion it? Net book value of equipment, or do we use number of employees? Amongst the three, could you kindly talk to me this afternoon? Which one do you think is the most appropriate? Which one do you think is the most appropriate to apportion the factory heat? Factory heat. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who have traveled, like myself, I've traveled quite heavily. If you have been to those countries that experience winter, they do lots of heating. The bigger the house you have, the bigger the space you have, the bigger the heating equipment will need. Otherwise, if you have a very big space and then you put like a very, very small heating element, you will not be able to experience the kind of heat you need. So heating will always be apportioned using what here? The space, size of space you have. Size of space that you have. Yeah, the space that you have. The space that you have. Yeah, in this case, it is the cubic space again. So it is the cubic space. Cubic space. So this cubic space, of course, the proportions will remain the same. 50 to 80, 25 to 80, 5 to 80, like that. So this 5,000, please kindly go ahead and apportion it using the same criteria. So you take this times this, you give us an answer. 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 Yeah, number of employees deals with personnel management. Yeah, issues to do with food. Yeah, welfare, etc. So I'm being given a figure of 31.25, 31.25, and then we have 25 over 80 times 5,000. 25 over 80 times 5,000. So this gives us 15. I'm told 1565, 1562, 62.5. And then now we have 5 over 80 times 5,000, which at the end of the day will give us 312.5, which gives us 312.5. And if you add these three numbers, they will give us this total. If you add these three numbers, they'll give us this total. So now we have the factory heat. We are through with factory heat. So we go straight away, ladies and gentlemen, to the next one. The next one that they have given us here, they are calling it process department supervisor. Yeah, so supervisor salary, 15,000. Supervisor. Yeah, call it supervisor salary. Supervisor salary. So supervisor salary, what are we seeing about this supervisor salary? This is already allotted. You are not going to apportion it. It is allotted or allocated. It is called allotted or allocated. This supervisor salary, I can see the figure is 15,000. 15,000. Yeah. And this has been allocated to processing department. So the processing department, ladies and gentlemen, has their 15,000. So in this case, a supervisor salary, we have an allotment. Allotment here, 15,000. 15,000. And then if you read down there, you'll be able to see that still this supervisor salary, there is another allotment. Supervisor salary, you can see here, yeah, 10,000 to packaging department, 10,000. So we have in this case here, a supervisor salary to packaging, 10,000. Nothing is being given to the canteen. So that if you do this approach, you'll be able to add the two and they give us a total of 25,000. However, you can still treat them separately. You can say supervisor, yeah, supervisor packaging, supervisor processing, still the same. So these are allotted, or what some examiners will call allocated. Up to here, ladies and gentlemen, somehow, are we really together? I want us to be really good with this. Are we really together? Yeah. So you must be able to know the difference between allotted and apportionment. Apportionments, you cannot trace them. Allotted, even if they are common, you are able to trace directly and say this belongs to this department. Allotted or allocated. Great. So we continue, ladies and gentlemen. So the next one here that these ninjas are talking about is called depreciation of equipment. Depreciation of equipment. Depreciation of equipment. So this depreciation of equipment, ladies and gentlemen, please, I can see the figure is 7,000 and this is not allotted. So this one has to be apportioned. But now for us to be able to apportion it, look for the basis, the very best basis amongst the three. Equipment has got nothing to do with space. Equipment has got nothing to do with space. Equipment has got nothing to do with the number of employees. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, the higher the net book value of an asset is, the higher the depreciation. So in this case here, I'm going to use this basis called the net book value of equipment. So we have here net book value of equipment. Net book value of equipment. Even the name itself will be able to simply tell you that. So net book value of the equipment. So this net book value of the equipment, have they given me the numbers that I can now be using? Yeah, they've told me it is 300,000, 300,000, 100,000. I can chop all the zeros. And then I'll be left with 331. 331. I'll be left with 3 is to 3 is to 1. I chop all the zeros, the proportions, even if I chop all the zeros, there's no problem because I'm going to divide. Yeah, so that the total ratio here is 10. No, not 10. Total ratio here is 7. So then this will be 3 over 7, 3 over 7, 1 over 7, like that. Yeah, so then can you kindly go ahead and give us these numbers now that you guys are great ninjas here. NBV of equipment. So Mercy gives me 3,000. This is as well 3,000. Yeah. And then now we have lastly here 1,000. Lastly there, we have 1,000. 1,000. We have 1,000. 1,000. Let me know whether you guys have been able to write up to where Mwalimu is. Let me know whether, yeah, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. From there, we have these are the next one. The next one here is known as, yeah, this somebody had already started mentioning about this, factory canteen expenses. Factory canteen expenses. This is about welfare of employees, so that when teachers are teaching, they can go to our canteen and munch up something. So this is a welfare thing. Yeah. So automatically it is 18,000. And this one for sure, I will use which criteria? Yeah, the more the employees you have in a department, then the more you should be able to absorb of these expenses. Thank you so much. So this is number of employees. So this is number of employee, which I can see there is 5 is to 4 is to 1. 5 is to 4 is to 1. Yeah, this will be 5 over 10, 4 over 10, 1 over 10. Very easy, really, very easy, very easy. So now you're able to, ladies and gentlemen, oh, they're still writing, Sorry for that. Sorry for that. Yeah. So you can see factory, canteen. Can it all go to, great question there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll be able to answer that. Is this figure of 18,000 wrong? Is this figure of 18,000 wrong? First of all, we start from there because I can see Galaxy giving me 22,500. Where is he getting? Is it wrong? Let me just project the question. Perhaps I've picked a wrong figure, which will be what here? Which will be, yeah, you can see here factory, it is 18,000 actually, so I'm not wrong. Then there is a student asking me a very sensitive question, and I've always seen students making that mistake. Now that we are talking over canteen expenses, why can't we just say that this is as good as allotted and take everything in this case here to canteen? Can somebody first of all help me answer this wonderful ninja? Can somebody help me answer this wonderful ninja? Why can't we take the whole of this? Galaxy is saying we have to apportion, but you haven't given us the reason. You haven't given us the reason. Why? Now remember, if then you say that these expenses here just belong to the canteen, yeah. Remember, within the factory, we have a canteen section. Do you want to tell me that it is only the employees of the canteen who are eating this food from the canteen? The food is available to everybody. People coming from processing section will come and eat. People coming from packing division will come and eat. This food is available for everybody, so don't be cheated by the word canteen. Canteen. It still has to be apportioned. And you can see in this case here, yeah, the expense can be incurred in any department here. Employees are to be from every department. So I hope that ninja is well answered. We have employees in all, yeah, all employees in the organization use canteen services. Thank you so much. I hope that ninja is now well answered, even from the, don't confuse this, because I've always seen it confusing so many students. Students will rush and then they say that this is allotted. Allotted where? All employees of the company will be eating from this canteen. Will be eating from this canteen. Will be eating from this canteen. Answered yes. Great. Great. Are the supervisors supervising employees? Of course, yes. Yes. They're supervising employees. Assuming in this case here, they simply gave us a total figure for the supervisors. They told us in this case here, 100,000. And then they told us that in this case, at the end of the day, I mean, it's open, it's blank like that. Then in that case, you would have apportioned that figure using number of what year? Using number of employees. However, in this question, it's a direct allotment. That is what they're telling you. We have in this case here, for example, supervisor salary for what year? For whatever, for packing, for processing. So the whole of it goes there. Yeah. Thank you very much for asking that question. Great. So then get ahead and give me the answers. So 5/10 times 18,000. First one is 9,000. Yeah. How about 4/10 times 18,000? 7,200. Thank you so much. And then lastly, we have 1/10. That's, I know. It's 1,800. Yeah, 1,800. Great. Now from there, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I like your questions. Your questions are very nice. They will help us to understand this subject so deeply, so deeply. Now, ladies and gentlemen, from there now we have, this one, they'll not be able to get it. This one, most of them will not be able to get it. Welfare costs of factory employees. Welfare costs of factory employees. Which criteria do we use? Which criteria do we use? Yeah, again, number of employees, yes. We shall use number of employees. We shall use number of employees. We shall use number of employees. Number of employees because, ladies and gentlemen, the more the employees you have in a department, the more the welfare services you need. So if you've got many employees in a department, then absorb that cost more of that cost to yourself. Thank you very much. You're right. You're very right. All right. So number of employees, remember the figure is 5,000. The figure is 5,000. And we're using the number of employees whose proportions we have. Already we have the proportions. If you had written these proportions up there, then you don't have to write them down here. So you can simply go ahead and do the apportionment. So 5,000 times 5 over 10, that gives me 2,500. 2,500. 4 over 10 times 5,000. 4 over 10 times 5,000. 4 over 10 times 5,000. That will end up giving me what figure? 2,000. 2,000. Thank you very much. Then we have 1 over 10 times 5,000, giving us 500. Of course, if you add the three numbers, you'll end up getting 5,000. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have finished. We have finished doing the apportionment and allotments. Now come and give us the total. Of course, the total here is 80,000, which is given in the question, 80,000. So you expect also these three totals to add to that 80,000. So can somebody give me the total for processing with your calculator? With your calculator. Please, that handout that you guys have been able to pick from here because I shared the handout, are you able to reshare it in your paid groups? In your paid groups, please reshare it in your paid groups. Please reshare it in your paid group. I'll be very happy. So according to 𝗓𝗇 et al., who has been very consistent in all my classes, this must be a very wonderful daughter. A very wonderful daughter. 45,125. Yeah. Then go to packing. Canteen, already I'm being given a figure. 48,62.5. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And then now we have, ladies and gentlemen, packing. So packing is 26,012.5. 26,012.5. 26,012.5. So can you kindly confirm that when you take this plus this, you're going to get 80,000? Just confirm. Just confirm. Just confirm that when you take this plus this, we're getting 80,000. If that is the case, say yes. If that is the case, say yes. Seems no, eh? It is not adding up to 80,000. Where have we lost something? Where have we lost something? Where have we lost something? Where have we lost something here? Sorry. They're saying, Mwalimu, we have lost something. For packing, I'm being told the figure is wrong. For packing, I'm being told the figure is wrong. For packing, I'm being told the figure is wrong. It is supposed to be 30,012. 30,012. 30,012.5. Can somebody confirm? Is it a figure I forgot to write? Maybe I forgot a figure. Maybe there is a figure that I forgot. When you add mine for your revision, let's not miss anything. The ninja doesn't miss anything. So now after correcting this figure, are we going to get, in this case here now, 80,000? Are we going to get 80,000? Yeah, thank you very much. We should be able to get 80,000 like that. It's now accurate. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember, now what you have done is the primary distribution. Now, after we finish doing the primary allocations and apportionments, now we need to, again, as management accountants, get into another sphere in terms of problem solving. That all through, we would want our costs to be borne by manufacturing departments, production departments, departments that add value to our products along the production line. So if you look at, for example, here, ladies and gentlemen, processing is a major department. Yeah, because we are processing the goods. Packing here, we are adding value. But when you look at canteen, ladies and gentlemen, does not come directly closer to the products. Yeah, canteen is what we call a support department. It is supporting the employees who are doing what you're coming to process and package. So this is playing a support role. So this is playing what we call a support role. A support role. A support role. A support role. Okay. Thank you so much, Bevlin, yes. Thank you so much. Great. Great. So this is a supportive department. As a management accountant, you need to appreciate the fact that supporting departments can never be allowed to bear their own costs. Because supporting departments, we can exist without them. I repeat that supporting departments shall always, at the end of the day, in our secondary distribution, we must ensure that support departments have zero cost. So in short, we have to redistribute this expenditure into the two departments. Why are we redistributing this? Ladies and gentlemen, it's because of what we are normally told in management accounting, that support departments can never bear their own costs, can never bear any weight. They are paper tigers. You know, there's a real tiger and there is a tiger which is drawn on a paper. Yeah, they're not doing the real production thing. This is a paper tiger. So at the end of the day, I repeat again, ladies and gentlemen, that at the end of the day, any support department that has an expenditure, that support department must always be cleared. That expenditure must be cleared from that support department through a process we call redistribution. Redistribution. So in my next class, because I don't want to do that concept here today you guys are few, and yet I know the importance of this. To redistribute expenses from the support department, there are so many methods you could make use of, which your examiner wants me to teach you. So for example, we have what we call repeated distribution method. Repeated distribution method. We have algebraic equation method, which in this case here then, I should be able to do in our next class. So it has been short, but I believe, ladies and gentlemen, you have gotten something that is really important for this first concept of ours under overhead analysis. Thank you so much. See you later for financial management. What time is our financial management class supposed to begin? 2 p.m., eh? Yeah, 2 p.m., yeah. 2 p.m., 2 p.m., 2 p.m., 2 p.m. Great, great. This one, I just have to stop there because first of all, I have to give you a concept and then you pick it from there. When I do one past paper question, etc., of course, I'll get one intensive past paper question and you'll be done. That topic is over. We got topic number 5. We got topic number 5. All right, all right. Are you enjoying the Chief Ninjas classes? Are you enjoying the Chief Ninjas classes? Are they making sense? Are they making sense? Great. Thank you so much. So please, if you are the cat, we shall overcome, yes, always. Yeah, if you pass by, you'll actually get me, yeah. If you pass by, it will be very good even for me to take a photo with you. I love photos. I love photos. Cheers, eh? Okay, bye. We shall overcome, yes. We shall overcome. And of course, if there are students who are not students of RCM, I mean, they need to join RCM. Not tomorrow, but today. You just need to join RCM today. You don't know what you are missing. You don't know what you're missing. You don't know what you're missing. There is no college which will be able to teach these papers, like management accounting, the way we do. I mean, we are doing these papers almost every day. Almost every day. Yeah, we have a great team of lecturers led by the Chief Ninja himself. Yeah, you can never go wrong with us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye. We will do more. Yeah. More research, CPA. Great. Thank you so much. Great.